Welcome to Photos That Stand Out. This is the second video in our free online photography workshop. And whether you are new to photography and you just enjoy photography, but you sometimes don't understand why you get the results that you get, whether good or bad, or whether you're a more advanced photographer and maybe you've been shooting for years and maybe you still don't always know why you get the results that you get, whether good or bad. This is the workshop for you. You're in the right place. You're here and you're going to learn how to make total wow photos with total confidence. Hi, I'm Jim Modkey, the founder of BetterPhoto.com, and in this video we're going to be focusing on inspiration, how to get inspired and how to stay inspired. In the previous video, I mentioned before and after photos, and I recommended that you use this technique as it greatly increases your confidence when shooting. Because when you shoot both a before and an after photo, you understand exactly why to use a particular technique or setting. Thank you so much for all of the comments from that first video. I truly love to read your comments and questions. So I encourage you to comment and question even more. I love to hear from you, and I just want to thank you for all of the great participation from that first video. In this video, I'll be sharing with you techniques for feeling inspired and for dealing with some of the things that I call the inspiration killers, the things that will stop you from being naturally inspired. Because inspiration is a great place to be for creating great photos. When you feel enthusiastic about what you're doing, you're all the more likely to create beautiful works of art. If you missed the first video, I encourage you to check it out right now because we covered a lot of great material about how to feel confident, how to feel for sure, how to have that certain understanding so that you know you're going to get outstanding photos. I showed how to create a simple expression, decluttering the naturally cluttered world by using things like power focus and taking my understanding of what I call Jim's seesaw and using a small f-stop number for small depth of field. If you haven't watched that video yet, go check it out right now. There's a link right on this page. Go to that first video. I'll be here waiting for you when you come back. Just go ahead and hit the pause button, go watch that first video, and then come right on back. Now in this video, I'm going to share with you the one thing that's made the greatest difference in my past 20 years of teaching and my past 30 years of learning photography. The one thing that's made the biggest difference so that you can save tons of time. You can cut off 10, 15 years from your learning curve and get right to it. And I'll also show you how to stay inspired so that you can continue shooting and learning and becoming a better photographer with that sense of enthusiasm, which greatly speeds your progress. I'm also going to share with you how I set up my camera when I head out the door so that you can get the shot whenever the situation or subject presents itself right as you step out the door. You are watching this video for a reason. Maybe that reason is that you right now are very much like how I was before. You know, I wasn't always a confident, competent photographer. I struggled with doubt. I struggled with feeling a little bit unsure of my abilities. That little voice in my head was always worrying about whether I was good enough as a photographer. You know, I remember one time, very long ago, I was just having one of those days. Nothing was working. And I was beginning to feel really discouraged. Every time I tried to get some creative shot, it just didn't seem to have any of that oomph. Ever been there? It's not a fun place to be. Now I'm in a totally different place, and I want you to feel that way too. We photography enthusiasts have to watch out for this baloney. We need to just disregard it, because when we unleash our inner creativity with a sense of certainty, and we believe in ourselves as a photographer, we are unstoppable. And that brings me to my first topic, what I promised in the previous video, the one thing that has made the biggest difference in my own photographic career. Are you ready for it? It's simply this. It's a mindset. And you want to master the mindset of the successful photographer in order to get great photos. You know, feeling frustrated, feeling stuck, feeling angry that you're not getting the results that you want, those are all inner states. And no amount of external success is going to assuredly deliver certainty and confidence. That comes from within. You know, photographing in low light, like the first light of the day or right after sunset, those are great, great techniques. Balancing quick shooting, going out with your camera in hand wherever you go and being ready to photograph right on the spot when a subject presents itself, those are all great techniques. And they are important. And technique does matter. Know-how does matter. But I would much rather take on the learning and the gaining of new know-how with an inner sense of a mindset of mastery. First, get the inner game going, control that self-talk or whatever it is that keeps us in that baloney world of false concepts and self-doubt. Let go of that, and you're going to just have so much more fun as you learn how to create great photos. There's never been a better time to be a photography enthusiast and to learn how to consistently create great photos and have a great time in the process. With digital photography, it's so much less fretful. We get instant results with instant feedback. And we can have lightweight cameras and lightweight tripods. We have excellent exposure systems nowadays. So we almost don't even have to worry about over or under exposure. And on top of that, we can shoot in camera raw. So if we're a little off, we can make up for it in post-processing. And as we learn Photoshop or Lightroom or another post-processing system, we can create even more amazing works of art from our previously photographed images. It's truly a great time to be a photographer. And I'm so grateful for both photography and for my website, which has allowed me to help millions of photography enthusiasts. You know, before students come to my classes, they often tell me that they feel like they're almost in the dark, using a hit or miss approach. And they tell me about how in the past they might have sometimes downward spiraled into a place where they feel uninspired. And that's what this video is all about. How to know how to feel inspired. Now let's talk about the 7 things that kill inspiration. We're going to do this so that you can know exactly what to avoid. And you are going to become a better photographer just by watching this video. So let's get right to it. Number 1, the first thing is when we tell ourselves that we can't do it. That little voice that just says, I can't. Or we just generally feel down and discouraged. This is the number 1 thing that will keep us from feeling enthusiastic. So what do you do when you have that little voice saying, I can't do this? Or it just translates into a feeling, I feel down in the dumps, I'm discouraged. Well, the first thing is you don't listen to it and you just keep moving forward. In our case, get out and continue photographing. When our thoughts are all in our head, we're going to be much more likely to feel down in the dumps. When we get outside with camera in hand and we're being active, it's going to be so much easier to not listen to that baloney voice and to just lose ourselves, to actually forget to be unhappy and discouraged. That's number 1. Number 2, the second killer of inspiration is comparison with others. I see this all the time in the contest, the monthly contest at Better Photo. If you're ever feeling like you're just not as good as so-and-so, or you look at so many images, you just go, those are incredible, they're out of my league. That's another voice to not listen to. Instead of being intimidated, comparing yourself to others, be inspired and be motivated to be your best self. Don't compete with others. Compete with yourself and learn and grow into becoming the best, better photographer that you can be. Replace intimidation with inspiration. Number 3, the third killer of inspiration, is being in your head and not in your heart. I quickly referred to that before, but let's dive deep. What does it mean to really be in your head? It's getting into those thoughts and doubts and fears. So, the solution is to be with your heart, to be very connected to what you love, your passion. And often for us, creative outdoor photographers, it's getting outside into nature and being present in the moment. So get out of your head by moving, by going outside, by interacting with others. Whatever you do, come back to your heart, how you love photography, or you love nature, or whatever your subject or genre is. Connect with that inner heartfelt passion. Number 4 is information overload. Feeling overwhelmed by all of the information that's coming at us. You know, we live in a day and age where there is no shortage of information, but we're often drowning for wisdom and inspiration. So what I recommend that you do is actually turn some things off. You don't necessarily need some of the information sources that are bombarding you with current high doses of useless garbage. For some, it might be the 24-hour news channel. For others, it might be advertising. For some, it might be those useless garbage websites. You know, those places on the internet that you just don't need to spend any time. Let go of those information things and start taking on wisdom things. And work with sources and people who will synthesize good information for you and be like a curator of the best and allow you to both save time and feel much more lit up and excited because you know that you're receiving the truth, the most inspiring truth. Number 5, the fifth most common killer of inspiration is clutter. And like the clutter in our mental world of information, there's clutter in the objects or the photos in our collection. And this clutter can gum up things and make us feel so down and discouraged because we look at all this stuff and we can't help but make this one deadly conclusion: I stink. I suck. I'm not a good photographer. When that comes to you, it's time to declutter. It's time to weed through some of the images in your collection to get to the stuff that makes you feel like, wow, I really do have that spark. I really do have what it takes. So that's the next killer of inspiration. And it's very simple to get through. It takes a little bit of work, but it's very simple. All it takes is decluttering your image collection. The sixth most common killer of inspiration goes something like this: I just don't live in a beautiful location. Where I live is boring, and I can't afford to go out on big expensive trips to exotic locations. I'm just plagued with a boring location. First of all, you just have to understand that that's just a belief. It's not a hard and fast truth. Anyone can say that their location is boring. And believe me, I've heard people utter this complaint and then they mention where they live and it's one of the most renowned, beautiful places. So it's just a belief and it can be turned on its side. It can be questioned. You could just simply ask, is this really true? And if you're still struggling with your location, there are many things that you can do. You can get a macro lens or use the macro mode on your camera. You can buy some fresh cut flowers or set up a little home studio in an open window in your house and photograph small objects. Or, if it is possible, take a trip, and all it has to be is a day trip, and that will give you the inspiration that you need. But first and foremost, question whether it's really true, and focus on the fact that there are opportunities. If you have any opportunities, think about them more and let go of that limiting false belief that you live in a boring location. If you still feel stuck, focus on people or pets. Focus on relationships. Relationships that just fill your heart with love and joy. And that will provide the inspiration that you need to create outstanding photos. Number 7, the final killer of inspiration is, I'm just stuck at this level. And this often plagues photographers who are more seasoned, who've been doing this for some time. And the answer is simple. Try new things and work with a mentor who you really respect and who will help you to grow to new heights. There is always a new level. Even the best can improve. And you can too. If you're currently at a plateau, work with people, photograph with others. That'll often dislodge some of those things that are keeping you in a rut. Try new things, and best of all, take on a mentor or coach who will help you, who will keep you going, who will give you assignments and provide feedback so that you can create better and better photos. Before you know it, you'll break through that rut. You'll be free. You know, the word inspiration, to inspire, comes from the Latin meaning to breathe into, in fact, in a divine sense. It's like imparting a divine sense of truth or wisdom, or receiving that truth and wisdom. So one thing that you can do above all is simply to breathe. If you feel stuck, you know, this may sound a little woo-woo for some, but just simply breathe. And if any of you practice meditation, you know what this is about. When you breathe, you control not only the breath, but you control the mind. And all of a sudden, all those cobwebs just sort of fall away. So I recommend that each and every morning, each and every day, whenever you feel stuck, take a few moments and do some deep breathing. And then do what you love to do. If you need to, write down a list of all the things that you feel passionate about. And keep that list at hand so you can refer to it whenever you start to feel tempted. And you can get back to that place where you feel passionately inspired. And remember, breathe. Now I have one little bonus bit of information to share with you. And this is my go-to settings whenever I head out the door with camera in hand. I call it AVID. Are you an avid photographer? And it stands for AV, which is often the symbol which means aperture priority. So when I go out, my camera is always set to the AV setting, aperture priority. That way I know that I can quickly and easily choose the aperture or the f-stop number that I need for the creative effect that I'm looking for. So AV is the first part of it. Then I stands for ISO. ISO 100 is my starting point. It's going to have the least noise, but I'm very quick to set it up to 200 or 400 if the light is so low and I might be in danger of having some camera shake or a little bit of motion blur that I don't want. But I start with ISO 100, and the last is D, AVID. And D stands for daylight white balance, not auto. I don't like auto because it'll often change the color of the situation into something more neutral. I want to start, when I'm working with sunlight, with the sunlight or daylight setting. So there it is, AVID, easy to remember, aperture priority, ISO, daylight, and you're in business. Now, with that in mind, each time you head out the door, you'll get the shot. You won't be in danger of missing it. You'll be ready to capture that amazing scene or subject in the decisive moment. Okay, we have covered a lot of ground in this video. Just take a breath. You don't need to know it all right now. You can replay this video and then you can put it into practice. But some of the things that you want to take away are breathing, relax, enjoy, work with a mentor who will really help you, get out and keep moving, stay outdoors whenever you can, and keep that camera clicking for the inspiration to just swell up in you, and that will help you increase the odds of creating outstanding photos. A lot of people have asked me, can I really learn photography online? Can I really watch a video and become a better photographer? And the answer is, of course, as long as you take what you learn and put it into practice. You know, there's that old saying, I hear, I forget. I see, I remember. I do, I understand. So take what you're learning, practice it, put it into effect, and actually put it into action with your photography within the next 48 hours. And you can easily learn photography online. Now, it also helps in our online photography classes when you have assignments and you have feedback that motivates you to actually put it into practice. But whatever it takes, practice what you learn and it will become ingrained in you. Now, if you've enjoyed what you've learned, please share it with at least 3 people, especially if those people are photography enthusiasts who want to make totally inspired photos. I tell you, it's so much easier to learn and grow as a photographer when you're surrounded by like-minded people. Now in the next video, I'm going to teach you, you guessed it, the 8th killer of inspiration. You're going to love this. It's going to help you get into action whenever you have anything tempting you to hold back from doing what you love. But right now, scroll down and click that little like button. Who doesn't like to get likes? And then comment in the comment section below. Tell me, if we were to get together in person, what one question would you like to ask me about the art of getting unique, show-stopping, outstanding photos? What would you like to know about getting out so that you can create photos that stand out? I'll see you in the next video.